Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming. This is for Season 50, 3 versus 3, Grand Arena Championship, Week 2. I am joined by my co-hosts, Dagger, Sasha Isha, and just a little bit later will be TJ. He's joining us, but he'll be just a few minutes behind.
Or I'm here, but that's okay.
Oh, TJ, you did end up sneaking in through the side door. Well, hey, glad you made it in. Good stuff. All right, guys, how you doing?
Good. So are we changing that first segment of Rip on TJ and we'll do that after he drops then?
Rip on myself, guys.
Yeah.
I don't need you to do my job for me. All
All
right,
right.
gentlemen.
That's
I
right.
can properly handle my own ass right
Yeah, yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Well, we'll have an ad at the
That's
end for
fine.
the we'll have an ad at the end for the TJ Gack diaper for when you shit yourself.
That's right.
God.
Sure.
Or if you're doing Fleet and then Dagger comes in and tries to say he knows what he's doing, absolutely just bombs on
This
it.
is
Happens all the time. We're used to
absolute
it.
barbarity, man. Y'all are nasty. Nasty. All right. Well, I see we're all in good spirits. Let's get right into it because I know there's a lot to talk about. This week was a damn mess. What
Yeah.
worked? What worked this week? We'll have a fantastic time being deliciously brief here. But yes, what worked for you? What actually got the job done when you needed it to come through? We'll start with Dagger.
Uh, well, outside of the obvious shit that worked, like overkilling everything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, not a whole lot outside the box that worked for me. Like I think most of us have discussed this to a certain degree, but I will say that the DTMG thing seems solvable. Now I don't know how it's solvable, but I fought it a few times, and I used SOK in my last round, but it seems, I don't know. I feel like it's solvable somehow. It doesn't play out the same way the Chiricron does, where like somebody just dies, right? Like it doesn't just like it usually doesn't one shot somebody super early. I don't know. And I won't waste too much time, but yeah. I mean, overkilling. That's what worked for me, and I think
Okay.
nothing special.
All right. All
I'm
right.
happy to go to ask. I can
Please.
kind of segue from that. Sure. So one of the two things I was going to share does relate to DTMG because that squad can be such a menace, particularly like we talked about last week when paired with OG Moff Gideon. Um, and Stout, I think, is probably the toughest combo. And I'm like Dagger, I was overkilling. And then particularly, like I had been using SLK, DACA, and Zombie. And then I got close to losing one of those when like a 4-stack Dark Trooper somehow got the focus down my SLK or almost took him out. But what ended up really working for me, and so it'll show up in my history, like a little bit cheaper than that at least, was Malgus DR BSF against that squad. Very comfortable. You have a ton of control with fear. It takes a little while to work them down, and you can be at risk of, if you don't focus the Dark Trooper to reduce its stacks, you don't need to take it off the board because it will get brought back, but keep it stacked down and whittle everybody away. That was pretty smooth. I think I got like between 54s to 57s with that. And it didn't take a GL. For me, that was a big win. Then the other thing that worked was something that Arsenal turned me on to that I tried. It was closer than I wanted because I didn't have the turn meter sequence all set up. But against really strong Tusken squads, so like all R8, good armor pen, the full Tusken DC, using BAM, Queel, IG-11. And it does require the right datachron. You need the BAM datachron. You need the level 3 with damage on debuff to be able to stack birds. But when doing that, it took out. I faced UTAS, I faced Berater, and I faced Fear of the Dark Side, all really strong squads, and it worked across all of them. That was after on one of them I failed with the JML, JKL something, but it was BAM, IG-11, and Queel that worked. So those were the two that were like the eurekas for me that were helpful.
Nice. All right. Well, I mean, that's that. My mind's actually reeling with possibilities right now. So that's interesting. TJ, let's hear what worked well for you this week.
What worked? Obviously, I think for everybody, there's a lot of testing going on right now because of that whole new thing with bow on defense, which I'm sure will go into more for everybody. What worked? Thanks to Tass and actually through my opponent, Zio, or goes Kafka, a couple others. One I decided to try out of a whim, and then Dagger showed me the percentages on it. Qui-Gon Jinn on the chase. I only bring it up because it's there. Seeing Zio do it on his stream again, which is dude is an awesome opponent and well deserved. And the task showing and then going through the specs of it, I was able to try it and it worked well. That to me, even though it has low percentages, I think, and Dagger and I talked about it, we figured out where the fail points are on it. But it has high risk, high reward, right? Being able to take Qui-Gon Jinn on Saw Chase in itself is a huge win, in my opinion. And being able to put something else, because if it's not Qui-Gon Jinn, it's like, holy hell, what are you going to use, right? It's going to require GL level stuff because everything else just dies that quick. Other things that worked are all we've expected. I don't know if there's anything really. It's everything. I think Dagger called it. I think everything's a lot of overkills, but the Qui-Gon Jinn on Chase was a huge victory in my book. Getting that to work was a great, worthy 54.
All right, I dig that. I'm pleased to report, against the Product level 3, Gas Rex 5s does fall to Gar ISC. I think that's probably maybe the second time ever I've gotten to do that, but that was very, very fun. CLS Chupio Krex. So people are trying to find good homes for Krex now. I've seen a couple different CLS comps. There's a Admiral Raddus, Leia, Krex comp. A few different ways of using her, but I'll say that against the CLS version, Chirpa, Wicket, and Nisa once again got the job done for me. It was 54 banners, but still.
Do you think that beats Rex 5s?
I don't know, because there's a difference between a team that's high tenacity and a team with tenacity up.
So the only reason I bring it up real quick, not to take too much time here, but I found myself in an interesting predicament where it's Rex 5s up front knowing Chase was in the back. So you can't Reva it if that's your, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think it's an interesting skewer to consider going forward. We can talk about that later.
That's fair. Yeah. Rex 5s is absolutely threatening. It's true. I think that means that your gas should be, relegated to offense, though. All right. Any other good attacks for me? Yes, Maul Armor and Candy. We did get to do Jawas. That was the first time doing that for 57, no less. So I was delighted with that. Gas Arc Echo I fought, just as I was mentioning here. That was the first time we got to do a Wampa solo in a while. So there was a 58. And yeah, I would say everything else was pretty ordinary. All right. Segment 2, guys. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, shall we? What did not work this week? Dagger, kick us off.
Give me 1 second of applying a loadout so somebody else can go.
Oh, well, okay, fine. Sasha, right. Let's hear about your limited failures. You had a pretty good week, right?
No, it was a mixed week. I definitely had some glorious failures. I had I had 2 matches where I got hard stuck on things that one I could have easily planned around, but I made the mistake of playing GAC angry post Super Bowl result, and so I did not take my usual composure and judicious strategy into that last one. But I got stuck once on a Bo-Katan Mandalore, and stuck again later on a Leia Organa. And I think so. Some of the learnings out of that, one, like, it's just, even post Drogenkron, it is very hard to whittle down a Leia squad. I didn't have Reva. I tried, Jam K. It was fruitless. I tried JML, but JML, in the absence of a protection datacron, I wasn't able to focus fire down Leia. those were both challenges. So that was disappointing. And yeah, just again, like I think it was mentioned, maybe TJ touched on it, but just sort of the rise, or you did test the rise of Bo-Katan Mandalore on defense. I set her all three matches. I saw her a couple of times. And actually kind of related to that, one of the things that didn't work that I felt a little betrayed by .gg on was a Freya Nyla Savage. I kind of thought, well, hey, if I end up seeing Bo-Katan Mandalore, .gg was showing against a triple Omni Division 1, all the filters you would want, that it was like an 85% success rate. And I even recorded my match against it. I went into it. I think this was against a Raider, and like 3 seconds in, my Nihilist was dead, and I was thinking, how the hell am I going to kill any of these things? So that went wrong, and went wrong fast. Let me think if there's anything else. Oh, yeah, as part of that, we talked, Dagger mentioned sort of like, or you guys were talking about the use of Crex, a Rex, Crex, and 5s, and because I was in a point where I knew I wasn't going to clear, and I had a bunch of other stuff that just wasn't going to take out Bo-Katan Mandalore. It was actually, I decided to just kind of for fun, kind of go in sequence of like a bunch of squads I had left to try and take out Rex, Crex 5s. It was surprisingly strong. Like it held against like CLS 2PO. It held against it wasn't Dash Han Tui, but it was something with Han Tui. It was just it's a really, particularly I think with that the Rebel Fighter turn meter on buff, level 6, and the protection up, it's just really robust. And if you don't move quickly enough, you pretty much, at least unless you've got exactly the right counter, you almost have to take out Rex and then whittle it down. And I had a hard time even doing that. So that was the challenge, Gas. It was, sorry, not Gas, but Rex, Crex spots.
Yeah, that's good, man. That is really good value, because that is a very challenging team in threes. It demands such a serious response.
Yeah.
All right, well, Dagger, are you in position now? Now a good time for you?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear about it. Where did you just, eat dirt?
I have a notepad on my phone, and I was applying my GAC mods because I thought you guys would take longer. And so I didn't want to switch windows in case it canceled itself, because ISOs on mobile is just not great. The biggest thing that didn't work, or that I learned, is how much doubt just absolutely dumpster fucks Afro. Just absolutely, I went against a C set Malik, so it wasn't like a really good C either, and I barely killed Set. And the team just did not function when doubt exists at all. You can't gain turn meter,
And I'm sorry, who were you using that barely worked?
Afra. With her
wow,
level 9.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I warned you of this. I warned you of this. Yes.
No, you didn't. You must have said that to someone else, because no one warned.
Not of that matchup, but I was talking to you about how I thought about how Doubt really actually did a lot against all the turn meter gains in the team.
Oh, sure. In abstract, having this conversation.
In abstract, sure. Not about that specific matchup.
With the level... I'm just saying, you would think the level 9 would carry, and it was not.
Yeah, the bonus.
That's actually a really good piece of to note on there, that how much impact that has. That's a really good call out.
It depends on who gets it, because Malik did his thing, and AOE hit him. Maybe you don't AOE at all. Maybe you just burn down Set with basics in that scenario. But basically, it was BT1 got doubt, and then Afra got doubt. And then neither one of them gained turn meter, and then Afra got drained out because the doubt locked her in. It was bad, man. It was. But anyways, yeah, that one was really rough. Also, trying to find an answer to Rex 5s when my Malik was on defense was rough. So I think I'm going to be pulling Malik back up for that little makeshift team I used to use versus Rex 5s. just because like that was just a puzzle that like really was unsolvable to a degree when you knew what was in the back wall, right? When you know they have all their datacrons in the back wall and you can know 4 of their 5 teams, right? Because like I don't see these like 4 teams that I know are just like oppressive right now. So trying to get through the front wall, knowing that they were in the back, or requiring yourself to save yourself pieces to use against them in the back, really screwed me in one of my matchups. And it wasn't necessarily like what I did wrong, right? It was just like bleed, 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 bleed. That's what we talked about that last week, right? A lot of the stuff that didn't work for me was just so ineffectual, like banner wise. Like I think I had like 3 total 57s this week. It was just kind of heinous across the board. Doubt not letting you get prot back, the prot up making teams last longer than they should. I think there was one other fight. I'm going in. I'm double checking right now. So I think there was one other fight that I messed up that I didn't that I apparently didn't note. So let me just double check. Round 1. Oh yeah. I tried Star Killer versus DTMG with double Gideon, and that was like LOL terrible. I got it to work versus not double Gideon, and it was really smooth. And then I did it against the double Gideon, and I was just like, wait, where'd my Star Killer go? And the truth was he was just dead. But I sort of took in Star Killer.
Asked and answered. You did the old adage of the fuck around with the find out, and you got all that find out.
Yeah, because I was in a position where I could try it in the previous round, where I'm just like, oh yeah, let's try this because I have wiggle room, right? And it worked. I'm like, oh, let's see if it works for just double Gideon, and that answer is no. Oh, and to your point, Sasha, I don't know what it was that got it to work, but against Bo, something put a debuff on me when I used Treya. I used Treya Scion Nihilus. Something put a debuff on me, and I got prod up, and then she didn't one-shot them.
But it required. But she's only giving that prod up out to herself, right?
No, the Omi gives it to all. He gives it to all 3 of them.
All 3 of them. Okay, well,
Savage doesn't get it. Savage doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Well, it's my Nihilist that went
went kaput.
Oh, okay.
So that's why.
Take a look. My Nihilist died immediately.
All I'm saying is I'm unsure because somehow a debuff got applied to me, so I had prod up, so she didn't insta kill.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it seems like, because I'm half tempted to try using that myself, but man, just if there's just an inherent like 33% chance you just walk in the door and the fight ends, it's like okay.
Yeah, I'm unsure either, but yeah, that's all I got.
No. All right. Well, hey, no, I appreciate that. Good notes. TJ, let's hear about it.
It's actually a limited week on fails.
You son of a bitch.
I know. We all expect it to be it's the same shit though for people, right? Rex 5s, tried JKR, GMY, and it was the same thing you talked about, Dagger. It was the prod up and then the Rebel, or maybe it was Sasha. But either way, that combo pack just let them fast enough and strong enough to where I couldn't get them to a point where I needed them to be controlled. And we're not talking like a nothing. We're actually talking like JKL with GMY, which was showing 100%. And I don't think that 100% was inclusive of the prod up. Either way, I couldn't get them controlled, and they just ended up deleting my team. So that really felt like a problem. The other one, Trench with the Watt and the Dooku. Taps was giving me a hand on some of the points, and we were looking through it, and I was feeling like it should be strong enough, but with that doubt with the Watt, it just ended up overtaking me. So that didn't work, so I ended up, because I was in a rush, I just missed completely doing Darth Revan on it, but the CLS didn't work, and then it was trial and error week, because I'd already done the win for this opponent, but he put Bo in the back, and I put Bo in the front. So I got to play around with the team and trying different things, and the Bo is just an absolute monster right now. I think if we're going to say anything is the biggest unknown, right now it feels like that Bo team and what it's capable of doing, because if you leave it for even a second, it's just that Datacron is just making her just absolutely nuts. So I saw Danis do it. I took JML, and I know we talked about a dagger. So I went with JML, JKL, and I think JKR. Just to continue to try to do it down. Man, I couldn't do it. It could not get it to a point where I needed to do it. So I ended up having to 3-shot it. But those were the big ones, and then of course Fleet did what Fleet does with RNG. Of either you're going to win or you're going to lose. And actually caught I'll say all of our old guildmates, everybody, Hero Saga, caught him on this round, and that's part of what got me the wins. But Fleet ended up being the mirrors didn't work for me and worked for my opponent. So yeah, it was a pretty easy week this week on what worked and what didn't work.
All right, fair enough. For my own part here, I had Sasha for the first round. A lot of clean attacks on the front wall, but then we started to get into some mess elsewhere. The Trench, Dooku, Watt. I saw some promising win rate for Mother Talzin, Daka, Marin. It did not pan out that way. It did not pan out that way at all. What ended up happening was we just never ended up getting that sweet spot where everybody but Marin was dead. We had different spots where it was just Daka alive. Daka and Mother Talzin, and then it would be Marin comes back and then one of them's gone, but then the other one would come back. So we ended up just needing to withdraw in the fight. Mall Candy Django, though, took it out for 33, so it would have been a 53 on the first go. Against Iden, Range, and Shore. So, man, Iden, Range, and Shore, I took in Star Killer, and that was terrible. My EP went to, just under half health, no protection, almost immediately. And that's just from Iden's middle followed by a basic, right? That's that. And BKM Paz Grogu, I saw some win rate for JML, Hoda, JKL. It did not win rate for me. However, I ended up, I think, chunking down. I think I got... let's see, what do my notes say? I managed to punch through several times. That's right. I remember we almost killed her several times, but the product gave her enough. The product from the level 3 gave her enough time to stabilize. If I had brought Jedi Cal and if he had survived, so it'd have to be something like JML, Jedi Cal, JKR, and hope, that they don't target JKR. That's maybe the way to try and make that work. But otherwise, I would not try just pounding through with coins or whatever and relying on JKL stun to give you enough time. When I got it down just to BKM and Grogu, that was holding up really well. I mean, that was awful. We tried a whole bunch of things I threw at it. Just having Grogu put that ability block on us a few times just jammed us out time and time again before, I ended up just thinking of Boss Grief Mando to get through, and that managed to clean it up. But yeah, and getting through that Iden Range Shore, looking for use for BAM. So I like hearing more that BAM Quill IG-11 is very effective on offense. That would have been a 55 if I had used that first, because that was a 25 on the third go after going double nil on my first 2 attempts on Iden Range Shore. So the fact that BAM Quill IG-11 would have done that, man, nice. Next round.
Wampa still works. Wampa still works too. I did that twice this week against the 400%.
That's
plus
good to know.
8 plus. Yeah, just sorry.
What do you think the threshold is for tenacity these days? Still about 130?
You would be surprised to know that there's tenacity on Datacrons.
Yeah.
I'd agree. I got mine to work as well, but I would say Daggers is a better
I'm at 120, 125 tenacity.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So I'd say somewhere around starting 150. Just make sure you have higher tenacity than their Idens. So take it. I did it with literally a plus 30% tenacity cron that was a light side cron.
Yeah. All right. I mean, that's
the amount of help necessary was negligible.
Fair enough.
Just make sure you pass that potency tenacity check at the beginning so you don't accidentally get stunned and then you just cakewalk.
Yeah. All right. Tuscan Chieftain, Tuscan Warrior, Tuscan Raider, Trey Nihilus Savage. I really didn't see in my round 2 a great plan on defense for Treya. Not anything I was really satisfied with. So I kept it for offense and resolved to use it against Tuscans. I knew it had some chance to fail because I've done it before and lost here while this Kron has been active. But it seemed like the best way to go at the time, and I immediately bungled it as soon as the fight started. I needed to isolate the summoned Tuscan Raider so that the proper Tuscan Raider that you want to execute is exposed and taunting at the time, as opposed to isolating, the real Tuscan Raider like an asshole, so that I was stuck on the summoned one and had to wait until isolate came back around to properly do that. That cost me pretty much a minute and a half. So don't be doing that in the first place. In the second place, don't have your Savage ever drop taunt. That's sometimes something you can control, probably not always, but in my particular case, in one moment when he did not, Warrior had her third and looked Treya square in the eye and said, bye-bye. And that was before Nihilus had done his first pop-off, which means that her unique never procced. He did not have his execute immediately on tap. We nonetheless had Nihilus survive long enough to execute the proper Raider before wiping it. Let me think about it. Before wiping out, and I eventually got through Warrior with something else. I got it down just to Tuscan Chieftain on that first go, though. And I cleaned it up with a solo Night Sister Spirit for 37. So that's nice. I mean, you're not often going to end a fight with only Tuscan Chieftain alive, but if you ever do, Spirit's the way to go. I again fought an Iden team. Iden's Storm and Shore. So not even range to have the additional assist threat that Sasha Isha's had in the previous round. The win rate for Starkiller was better. And I didn't have a better idea at the time about how I wanted to apply Starkiller. So I tried it again. And wouldn't you know that Iden being in both compositions of that team, Iden again doing her middle, and Iden again doing a basic right after that, would happen to take Emperor Palpatine down to just under half with no protection once again. So that also did not work a second time, and I think I've hopefully picked up a lesson from that. Ended up using JMK to make sure I got through, and it was just messy from there. BKM Paz Grogu. Let me just say this: I didn't fail the attack. It was C armor and set, and armor never got a turn. My armor is like 356. Armor never got a turn, and it's not because she got immediately popped off. It's just they actually moved pretty damn quick. And I'm talking about like Paz Vizsla, like looping you twice, and you're busy being 356 and never getting a turn because you get dazed early off rip. And we got the fight done for 49 banners, and that was a severe bleed. It contributed to a nearly 19 banner bleed that would have lost me the match, any of my other drops aside. So that's a powerful lesson about BKM Paz Grogu. There's really very little that deals with it effectively, and don't do something janky that, like, if you win in the worst case, it's a 49. That is literally as bad as you can go. What else? Akbar, Princess Leia, and Krex. This is really the last one that's worth mentioning. I took in CLS Han Chewie, and I'm reminded about this again. With the prod up, do not focus Krex. Kill the others. They're certainly more fragile. Like, Krex is tougher than you think he is. If you could choose between him and going after Akbar or Leia, you should do that. Because if you watch me do that fight, he kept stabilizing. The prod up would come up, he'd end up stabilizing, and it's just you burn way too much time. When I started to focus on the other the other characters, they were going to go down a lot quicker, but I ended up needing to withdraw. Boss Grief Mando, though, once again, had my back. Had I used that in the first place, that would have been a 57. So, all right. That is enough on the absolute filth that was my week 2 for failures. What was that?
What did you lose with first against Radis? Or against
CLS Han Chewy.
Akbar?
Would you believe CLS Han Chewy with
Yeah.
like an armor penetration crown stacking buffs up and just full on balls to the wall focus on Krex? And Krex is like, yeah, I'm gonna be okay in the end though.
Yes, I would believe that doesn't work because every time you land a debuff or a detrimental effect, he gains prot, so you can't kill him effectively.
It's very
I was
very
just
tough.
saying,
It was
did
very
you not
very
have
very
Aiden?
tough. Sorry, what was that?
Did you not have Aiden?
I want to say I used Aiden to clear his Bam Han Chewy
Okay.
like that.
Yeah, because I used Aiden against a very similar team.
That's fair. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about standout defenses, guys. What worked?
Ooh.
What held the line for you guys this week? All right. We'll start with Dagger once more.
Qui-Gon, Beck, and Malicos. Get in my belly. I don't know what people failed against my Beck with, but that fucker got at least one hold every round.
Yeah. Is well? You know what it is. I just saw it here on Infidum's stream here towards the end of this third round. There's a bug, man. He's like he's like unkillable under some condition. There's a bug.
I did hear that.
So
yeah.
Who is?
Keller and Beck.
Oh,
Like I watched Infidum like definitely have killed this guy properly, and he like went to full health, full protection. It's like anyway, it's like a brand new fight now. Sucks to be you.
jeez. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I ass backwarded myself into that, so.
Well, I think a lot of us. I took it off defense just because people were still getting through it at least against me. So I just took it off for that. I didn't even know it was some type of bug around it. I don't even know when the
Neither
bug
did
came
I.
in, but yeah,
I literally placed it as that 15th filler. We talk about the 15th team more frequently. We're
sure,
trying to figure
yeah.
out what. And I have two R9s and an R8 on the team with a pretty solid armor pen crown on it. So I felt okay about like just, it's a bunch of relics you have to kill, and that's basically where I was coming from. With it.
What was the combo, Dagger? What's the full squad?
Oh, Beck, Mace, Snips.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I used that on offense once. It's good.
And then Qui-Gon, the obligatory 2-tap happened every round. Kill Qui-Gon, clean up.
Good.
And then, man, Malicos just straight up held this last round for 7 fights.
Is that with crew or with who?
No, just Fulcrum Malicos, man. Except no substitutions.
Mm-hmm.
Like that team has just been, man. All these new teams, and you're just like overkill this. You get to the back, and it's like, fuck, I forgot that team exists too. God damn it. Because this whole week I put like that next to like Treya or Riva, and it's like you overkill my front wall, and then you get to the back one, it's like, that's right, these teams exist too. Damn it. Although I do think that the time for gas on defense has ended to a degree, because I think the Rex 5's trap is worth it, especially when the shitty gas team has opportunities to beat some. Again, it can overkill some bad team, and since we're in the overkill bad teams game, that might be something I'm into.
Yeah, I mean,
like you said, 50 banner one shot is still better than like the 30 banner two shot.
It is. It just is like that. And people, there's a lot of talk in the community about it being, a continuation. We were expecting the change of set 11 expiring to perhaps relieve us of the efficiency meta, and it's still very much about efficiency, but it's a very different flavor, right? Because defense matters now. It's not something you can trivialize with Krons either attacking or just relying it to be your bulwark on defense itself. So like defense matters a lot more, and I know that we're all feeling that because more defensively oriented players, just taking Fatal for an example, having a field day with this stuff, guys. People just
also
eating big out here on defense. Sorry, go ahead.
That Curicron is you can definitely feel the nerf on it.
Yes, and it needed it. It needed every little bit of it. It was a monster.
It's still dangerous. Don't get me wrong. I reviewed it for like 49.
Yes.
Right. It's still potent. Like I still got my GI one shot.
But yeah, let's get back to any other
Sorry,
defenses that held out for you.
Well, yeah, Jabba held once, Ray held once. I was just going on the
Yeah,
state. The
sure.
ones that,
Yeah, who was who really stood out for you? That's fair.
yeah, like somebody failed with their Afra, and then like
Ooh.
I didn't set Leia because Leia was my bane last week, so no one failed on that,
Mm-hmm,
sadly.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Sasha, how about you? What was strong defensively for you?
Most of them are ones we touched on. Like I did get a few of those surprise holds. I got to watch your attacks against my trench squad. I've
Yes.
mentioned before, like with the high defense or just sort of datacron manipulation of that squad, which has its own strengths. I mean, don't get me wrong, Trench and the Separatist faction kind of disappointed generally when it came out, but when it gets juiced with a particularly strong cron, that did well for me. BKM, as we talked about. There were like Iden took souls, and I tend to set the range and shore trooper combo. There's Iden and the inner kit. They're stacking offense whenever an Imperial trooper attacks out of turn, and you're doing that all the time with range. And I think people underestimate how quickly the damage ramps with that squad. I mean, they've got the Datacron help already, but in Iden's kit, it just gets so juiced. Plus the protection regeneration that worked well. I will say for setting an Iden squad, because it can be vulnerable to Wampa, you really do want the level 3 depth. That was I think a difference maker for like keeping mine safe from Wampas out there. Because I think, did you try Wampa on mine, Tess? I know I've seen some Wampa attempts, and it's really tough with doubt.
I think it might have been what I tried second. Yeah, and it was a withdrawal on both of those.
Yeah. But those are the ones that stood out for me.
That's awesome. All right, TJ, how about you? Your standout defenses.
This week was a good week. This was a week of defense, and it held strong all the way through. LV, 2 out of 3 holds. Second round, no kill. Jabba, 4 holds, no kill. Nobody died. They just stood there, stood strong. With Hero, our old guildmate, 11 holds with LV. Finally got it down. And I think that was just he was proving a point that he was going to do it. So respect to him for pushing it. Bo.
What was the comp, TJ?
I split it. I literally just put old school Thrawn Maul in the back.
Yeah.
And then did, just because of history, I checked it and everything, because obviously doing our homework. Knowing what he might try, I just did Maul RG. Because what people are doing right now, and this is the flip, is people are trying, at least where I'm at, what I'm seeing, and even common thing is they're trying this Maul, ISE, and Gar. I think Maul anything, honestly, right now. And Jawas just eat it up. So it's like you're giving away free money by doing this stuff and doing these splits. And like, I even talked to Tass. I'm like, Tass, what about blah, blah, blah? Something's like, you're not putting Maul. It's like, I wouldn't even consider that a team. Why are you even doing that? Which was absolutely the right call. And it was the right call. If you're going to set LV, and the idea being, and I think we're going to see it this week as prevalent as ever with all of us, it's going to be go on defense. Because the answer is, what do you do? And it's going to be bloody. I know Tass and I were talking, and I think there might be something to it. Not going to go here, but I do want to call out that I think that's the wild card for everybody. Is you have Bo, and one Hero didn't have Bo, so obviously I got a huge advantage there.
Yeah.
It's an automatic, basically a win. From that point is how I feel about it at the top. If you don't have Bo right now because of that Datacron, not because of Bo, I want to preface this. It's not Bo. It's like it was when we had the what's his name, the Leia Cron or whatever you want to call it, the Drogon Cron. That was nothing to do with the team. It was the Cron. It's the same thing right now. It is definitely a FOMO situation, and CG's done a great job. But her on defense, man, oh my God, she is just a monster. And if you don't take the right stuff, boop, there goes your team. They just fade away. And then as I watched with Tass and with Sasha, she takes a million turns. She goes, Taz was commenting, and she just kept on going, and she didn't quit. And then eventually Taz got to play, and
That's right.
She had no team.
I remember my feelings are all returning to me right now.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
sheer
dude, the
fucking panic.
Dude, the spiciness of she goes, oh wait, she's going.
Wait, stop.
And then,
Why are you doing
Yeah.
this? Stop it. Stop it.
and then of course IG-12 goes, which makes her go again, and then she goes again. It's like, all right, well, I don't even want to play anymore if you're not going to
Yeah,
play. But
35 seconds into the fight, I now have permission to basic.
right, and there's no team to play with, so then it's like, but I think, like I said, this week was pretty murderous, man. Once I got to see, again, doing the studies and looking at everything, just poor little fellers, as I've been posting out to people, poor little tink tink. That was feeling their pain, but I was happy I was the winner.
Very good. I mean, for myself, I felt like I needed a lot on attack this week. So in a couple of these fights, it was lighter duty than usual on defense. So consequently, some low banner clears from my opponents, but only one hold, and that was Malgus, Sith Marauder, and BSF. So I did have a split of DR Malik Talon there. He 57 the DR team, but he did end up needing the 2-shot, the Malgus. So we'll take it. All right, guys. Lessons learned. This is it. This is for all the marbles, and then we're setting up for 5. So, let's dig right into it with you, Dagger. What are you taking forward here from week 2 into week 3? How are you trying to apply it?
I haven't said this all week. Fuck 3v3. I'm glad it's almost over.
That's something more for the final section to share, like last words for the kids at home.
No,
you know?
I'm getting there, man.
We'll save that for your ray of sunshine at the end.
Yeah, I almost welcome an efficiency meta at this, like a true efficiency meta at this point, because I'm 5-1 this season, but like you touched on it, like defense matters, and at this point, I feel like the only thing that really matters at all is just finding like one shots. They don't have to be clean. They can be like 50 banners. If you can one shot your opponent's entire board, you just can't lose. That's basically how I look at this.
Yeah, it's very tough to lose in that situation.
So my takeaway basically, like off of all that, is it's like I need to figure out how to set up a board that can't be one shot while still allowing me to one shot my opponent, which is a lot easier said than done, because we've all talked about how we had just shit that should work fail, and that's like I don't want to like go on one of those tirades where I cuss and scream about like how the 3v3 itself just irritates me in general, but man, the compounding of this season has just really made this season not fun for me. So my takeaways have just it's basically just how can I I'll just repeat it one more time and then pass it on, but it's like, how can I make my life easier while still having anything on defense?
Very good. Very good. Sasha, your lessons learned. How will you conquer week 3?
I guess some of the lessons, like some ground we already covered, but there are more than HELs. BKM is super legit right now, and kind of planning accordingly in that I probably am going to end up holding just a little bit more for offense, just because I think some of these defensive squads are really hard to solve without GL, and so I think that's one of the big takeaways. The other thing that actually, no, I'll hold my next comment for like the for the next segment. But I think that's kind of the big thing is like I'm just realizing there are more potential hard stop you in your tracks defensive squads than I had anticipated.
Very fair. Yep. TJ, what are you taking into week 3?
This is tough. I think we have a lot of data right now, right? I think we've got a lot of streamers going, and we have a lot of data. And I still think there's a lot of unknowns. I am going to say right now where I'm at, I do particularly like to play the 3v3 game when I have time. It's a time game when it comes down to it, right? Because you're really having to solve. Yeah. You have to solve the puzzle. and the puzzle can be a pain. Like Dagger's talked about certain things he set because he knows this is what it's going to do. And it really is. You really are doing the Rubik's Cube. You're trying to move every piece, or the chessboard. You're moving every piece to be correct. Or even if it may have to be a drop, the other person's going to drop that much harder, and you win by an inch, and that's fine. This week right now is oof. I think this is going to be a crazy one. Even with all the data out there, I think Bo is the biggest. She's the queen right now, and she's the queen for a reason. On offense, nothing will hold her back. On defense, having her there, and you could just bottom front or whatever it's going to be. I found one thing that was fun, and I told Tast about this when he was struggling. It's like, I just did a mirror, and I felt just like a Star Killer mirror. Mine was faster, so guess what? I had a great time.
Yeah, I bet you did. Yeah, that is you always have that option, guys. And hey,
so
that's actually a really smart point to mention, because if you are one of those folks, you've got Bo-Katan, you're fighting an opponent with Bo-Katan, it is of interest to you whether or not yours is faster. Because if you expect they'll set yours on defense, that is one possible sure way out of the woods. And it could cut the other way, too. You could put it on defense with confidence, knowing that whatever you're doing, you're not doing this mirror. So, that's fair.
100% Star Killer status. If you're faster, it's so weird that your Bo going first deletes characters. It's weird. It's just, but it's a lot of fun to watch. It's like, oh, you got your Bo? Well, haha, I win.
All right, very good.
I think that's a key piece. Yeah. We're going to be in for a wild week, man.
All right. For my part, I really haven't had Bo on defense, so I really have to be looking into that here in week 3. The results for just how difficult it's been for me this season, I should have been doing it a while ago. But that's probably going to be strongly featured. I have been using it as a crutch against DTMG, so that's a shift I have to adjust for. You have to account for the other non-GL teams, the same as Sasha was saying. So make sure whatever your attack planning is, when you're scouting your opponent, you're looking at their last week here, and you're paying attention to how much they're willing to commit to defense. Whatever you're looking to change up, you better match it up 1 for 1 and go as long through that plan as you can for all 15 squads, or as close to that as you can get, because only with that, when you are satisfied, you look like you've got it, that's the point where you start laying out your defense. Just like what Dagger is saying, and so many other content creators are saying, with the margin of victory being so tight, and having, in reality, in this neck of the woods, everybody having the tools to actually one-shot their opponents, making sure you actually do that is everything. So, I have to be extra careful, and I have to make sure I'm working in all of these non-GL, GL effective teams onto defense and letting them work for me. The ones that I've been keeping for offense have been a crutch, so I got to work on that. All right. Final thoughts, guys, before we hit the road here. Anything else you wanted to leave for the good people? Dagger, it's time for your, TM, ray of sunshine.
First of all, I'm going to keep my crutches, right? Don't you tell me or try to convince me that I can't keep my crutches for offense.
I'm talking about me. What lessons was I applying? There's my lessons.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. No, it's everything you guys have said, right? I have an intolerance for 3v3 that's pretty well known, that I try to be a little more positive about during 3v3 season. But
you can try harder.
My final thoughts are basically like, we're in an efficiency meta that's not really an efficiency meta, right? It's like a one-shot meta. So it's an efficiency meta in the sense that it's a one-shot meta. So I guess my thoughts aren't even on 3v3 right now. It's like, how is 5v? I'm not trying to derail, I promise. But it's my thoughts are, how is 5v5 gonna look with this current Kron set? Because this 3v3 is kind of a snapshot of that. So my final thoughts are basically trying to reformulate something for 5v5, because man, it'd be nice.
I'll give you my thoughts on that in one word,
just
one word. Sorry, you finished that thought.
No, just be nice to have the last week of 3v3 mean something going into 5s. So, I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
What are you going to make fun of me for? Go ahead.
I don't even remember what I was going to say now. Thought just
Yo,
poof,
fuck you.
derailed, gone,
Fuck 3s.
like it never was. All right, very good. Sasha, your final thought for the people. I know you were saving a kernel for them.
Yeah, the only one thing I was just going to say, and this may materialize more in 5s, is this Datacron set kind of ripens and people get more time with it. Mm-hmm. But at least personally, I did not see a ton of difference making through the stats on it. And I think that there are opportunities to do that particularly playing with potency and tenacity. Like we talked a little bit, Dagger mentioned, like, hey, you can get it on the Datacron. I haven't seen the breadth of impact yet. And I think it maybe there will be more of this in 5s, where there's certain key characters you want to be able to either shut down or ensure that can't be debuffed. But I just kind of feel like more of that is likely to come in the next few weeks. That there will be like a couple of defensive comps that will kind of catch fire with, oh, but you've got to have some requisite level of tenacity on it, or there's some, potency tenacity check. It hasn't hit yet, but I think that's gonna have an impact. I haven't spent the time to really sort of mine for what it is, but that's just my gut.
No, I think you're onto something there, because that actually reminded me of what I was going to say to Dag earlier. I think, it's really just about we're going to see the return of the super teams in 5s. Mm-hmm. That's what that's going to be. It's the concentration.
But I don't know if the Datacrons actually allow for that.
I mean, I think. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's a great conversation.
Anyway,
for that
inter-season
video. We'll save that thought. But no, I appreciate it. No, I appreciate you echoing each other on that point. TJ, your last thought for the people.
Yeah, this week 3, man. I would just be extra careful studying as much as possible. You have all the data now, 2 weeks of what's been going on, what's popular with the insight. You have all the tools. I would look to your tools this time. I'm not going to disagree with Dagger. Talking 5, I'm really going to look forward to the speculation, but because we're working through this week of 3s first, there's a lot of data out there. I think you really need to look at your player, who you're playing, see what their habits are going to be, and I really think you do your homework and then just look at the tools. Because then that should get you ahead. That's the only thing that I think you can do right now is just use all your resources and then take your shot in the dark.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. For my part, guys, this is just a little observation I've had here over the last couple of weeks, because I've been seeing a lot of people testing out their Radis fleets on defense with the comeuppance. I don't know how well Negotiator does against it, but my suspicion is very well. But I'll say this. Chimera is like straight up 75. Like, I'm sure you could. Yeah, I think 75 is about the most, because I do like bringing both reinforcements. But you're running it the exact same way you would fighting
Tarkin
Leviathan. Sorry, what's that?
Tarkin is 77.
Yeah, I was saying I run it Chimera. I guess you could run a Tarkin for even better banners.
Yep.
So, like, if you're gonna set it on defense at all. Sorry.
You get the TIE Fighters off Scythe, so you just kill them.
Don't set comeuppance. Don't today.
Like,
just don't do it. That's the takeaway. Don't do it.
If you're gonna set it at all, like, you need to make sure that you think whatever your opponent's gonna have for it, they're not gonna have, or they demonstrate they are really weak in fleet and they just set the entire house all the time, and you need to save so much for offense that you have to set Radis. That's about it. But like, comeuppance ain't doing what people are thinking it's doing is where I was going to go with that. So really reconsider your fleet defense if you're been reliant on Radis. I know you can get holds with it. I even had a patron reach out to show that they got a hold with it, but I don't that is not indicative that is going to be a strong performer for you. So just spare yourself.
I was just saying, it's like, do you want my screenshot of like me forgetting to put Chirpa lead in and it's Paploo lead Ewoks getting a hold? I can send you that.
Yeah, something like that.
It doesn't. It's not Marauder. If you want a TLDR, it is
No.
not Marauder. Don't think of it. It's a good upshot, but it's something for like an offense or something else. It does not change the stature of what that team is going to do at all.
Or
I
at
used
least
it-
it doesn't
I used it
on
to clean up.
defense. There might be some unforeseen testing, or there might be something emergent for it on offense, where you in control of the cooldowns of all the ships can make a big difference on attack. Like, I believe that there might be something like that out there for Radas, but it's not on defense, whatever it is.
Nope.
Yeah, I used it as a cleanup once and forgot that comeuppance existed.
Yeah. I'm saying there might be some new opportunity coming out there. I don't know.
Hey, if it
But
beats
the magic
Malevolence
ain't
for
there on
75
D.
banners, sign me up. That's all I'm going to say.
What was that?
If it can beat Malevolence for like 75 banners, sign me up.
Sure. And there might be a home for that. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, the three of you, for making time here to make our show. This is we're coming in just under an hour, so we did great. We did great on time there. For our patrons here, this is going to be up tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it. And you'll be able to use that in your planning here going into the lock-in for week 3. For our general audience here on YouTube, this will be available Friday morning, 8 a.m. And, that's alongside all my previous streams up there with chapters added, previous plotting and scheming episodes, and also the Set 13 Datacron review. And I do have good news, guys. I know I already shared this, at least I think with Dagger and TJ. But yes, Aesop Rock is open to making future Datacron review videos, so I will be looking him up on the next set, and we'll, schedules willing, be able to produce something else, help us all get set up. But, all right, guys. I do want to plug for the Patreon real quick, but otherwise, I really appreciate you guys. What's that? Go ahead.
And before you do, just remember, support your local content creators. They fail, so you don't have to.
Oh, yeah. You got to be watching everybody out there on Twitch, twitch.tv/Tassinix. And, of course, you can find here on the YouTube channel the link to my Discord. If you're not already in touch with me, that's a place to find me and way to do it. And, yeah, if you like what we do here at Tassinix Gaming, check out patreon.com/Tassinix. I'm actually overhauling it right now. I'm interested in what folks might be wanting to see on offer there, but right now I do have at least my original 2 tiers up there. There's a $5 tier to get you in the door, get you access to the YouTube exclusive content, the early days, obviously the $10 tier offers the same as 5, but also gets you the bundled OmegaBot Patreon membership. And that helps you come up with those detailed scouting reports. You get to fine-tune what your criteria are, get the detailed insight on your opponent. Really helps in your preparations. As always, got to thank the patrons who make everything possible. Really appreciate you guys' support. At the top of the list, Nomad's Reaper. We got him added in at Jester's Club Elite. That is my top rank. I haven't even fully fleshed out what all is going to be in there, but everything it has, Nomad's has got. Right now, he's content to, basically make me into his dancing bear on stream at will. So that's what I've signed myself up to in the short term. At VIP Access Plus, thank you goes out to Trevor Boyd Gaming and Stryker, taking advantage of the aforementioned OmegaBot deal. So thank you so much. At VIP Access, thanks goes out to White Wolf, Sam Vimes, Jobin4527, Sweens14, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sir Boss, Lego Calrissian 2187, Deadpool Cal 28, Johnny B Ottawa, Darth QP PMG, Ray's Malbus, JJ's Productions Twitch, and Quig. Special thanks. I still have to get this slide updated because now Nomads is here redundantly, but we still love Nomads, man. Nomads is awesome. But special thanks go out to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters. He's long since quit the game, but we remember him fondly because it was a big deal to get some support back, really in the early days of this. To Mrs. T, my wife, I appreciate all of your support here and your patience managing our very talkative, very active daughter. While I spend 3, 4, possibly even 5 hours trying to be halfway decent at a phone video game. So thank you so very much. And to Dagger, TJ, and Sasha Isha, my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming. It takes time for us to prepare and make this show, and I appreciate all 3 of these gentlemen making their time available to me. So really love what we're doing here. All right, guys. As always, it's a pleasure to be here with you and make this show. Until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.